Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about being denied entry into Thailand. Now, in the previous video I talked about scams on the Thai-Cambodian border. Scammers who come from the Thai side working with corrupt Cambodian police. Now that's a totally separate issue because I was denied entry to Thailand. Now, this might be a follow-up also because the main video in this playlist, my visa issues playlist on my channel, is about a 12-minute video where I talk about tourist visas. If you want an extended stay or if you want to extend your stay here in Thailand with a tourist visa, I'm not talking about any other visas because there are different visas like work visas, multiple entry visas and so forth. I'm just talking about three things: the tourist visa, or getting a 60-day visa from a Thai embassy or consulate outside of Thailand, border runs, which you're allowed two a year, where you cross the border and come back into Thailand for your 30-day exemption stamp. Okay, and plus the fourth thing might be you can extend then your stay for 30 days at a Thai immigration office in Thailand. Okay, so there are four things: tourist visa, the 60-day visa, the visa exemption, flying into Thailand, and the 30-day extension. Okay, and I talked about that in detail in that 12-minute video. But this is just to explain that I was denied entry. Now, I want to make it clear that I'm not saying this is a limit. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. What happened was I was denied entry on my 9th attempt into Thailand. 8 times, then number 9 was when I was denied entry. That was 8 trips over around 17 months worth. Okay, about 17 months. And like I said, maybe it could have kept going. I'm just going to quickly go through what happened here. So what I did was I went to Cambodia starting in March 2017 for my first border run for 2017. You're allowed 2 border runs in a calendar year. Okay, did that 2 times in a row. I then went back to Cambodia a 3rd time and got a 60-day visa from the embassy, and you have to stay in Cambodia for 2 or 3 days, okay? Then I extended that for 30 days here in Thailand. Then I went to Malaysia 3 times in a row for 60-day visas from the embassy in Kuala Lumpur. That was all in Kuala Lumpur, each time extending for 30 days here at the immigration office in Bangkok. Now, arguably, that was stretching it at one embassy. I've got a video where I say you should mix it up, go to different embassies, different consulates, different countries and so forth. 3 in a row is pretty much the limit. By that stage, I think they were getting harder on me and were looking very closely at my application form. So anyway, I did 3 60-day visas in a row. Then I simply went to Malaysia. I flew to Malaysia. But bearing in mind, you can leave Thailand any way you want, by land or fly. To fly in from Kuala Lumpur, and the key is to fly in to get a 30-day visa exemption stamp. That's not a visa, it's the 30-day visa exemption when you cross into Thailand. I flew in, okay? Now, that flying in is technically, I keep hearing it's unlimited, but not really. And that's all the grey area and question marks I talked about in that first video in this playlist, that 12-minute video, okay? Then for 2018, I decided to do my 2 border runs to Cambodia. The only reason I went to Cambodia is because it's just the closest, easiest and cheapest from Bangkok. Like, I'll talk about other options in a second. So I went to Cambodia, being the closest and easiest. Border run number 1, I made it. Then I did a 30-day extension here in Bangkok. That was questionable. Now, I pushed my luck to go back a 2nd time because in hindsight, the immigration officer was looking at my passport very carefully. But I went back again because it's easiest to do my 2nd border run. And when I say you're allowed 2 border runs in a calendar year, it's not guaranteed, it's just the maximum you can do in 1 year. The 9th time, I was denied entry, simply for going too long on the tourist visa. Okay, so that's the big thing here. I'm not saying that's the limit. Maybe if you're lucky, you can go further. That was 8 trips over 17 months. What were my options? My options were to do border runs either into Laos or Malaysia. Okay, maybe would I have been denied entry? Could I have come in? We'll never know, question mark, okay. I'm not sure about Burma, never been to Burma, but maybe you can do it in Burma. But Laos, Malaysia, question mark, maybe I might have been lucky, or would I have been denied entry? I could have got a 60-day visa again at a Thai embassy or consulate outside of Thailand, in a Kuala Lumpur embassy. There's a consulate in Penang, Malaysia. That's great if you live in southern Thailand. You can just cross the border to Penang, which is fairly close to the Thai-Malaysian border, I should say. So it's great, but if you live in Bangkok, that's more awkward. You can fly to Penang, I guess, from Bangkok, but I'm used to flying to Kuala Lumpur. That's what I did back up here. So I could have got a 60-day visa, and also Cambodia. I could have come into Cambodia to get the 60-day visa. Okay, because when you cross into Thailand with a visa, that's different from a border run or the visa exemption. Again, question mark, would that have saved me? Would that have got me into Thailand? We'll never know now. And the third option was to simply leave Thailand and fly back in through the airport for the visa exemption stamp. Question mark, would they have stopped me? We don't know. So they're my 3 other options. So perhaps if I was lucky, I could have went for longer, but that was it. So it's not the limit, but that was my experience of 8 trips. The 9th trip I was hit and denied entry. Now, I'm not complaining about Thailand here. This isn't a rant against Thailand. I'm just stating the facts, okay? So that was 8 trips over 17 months. And like I said, I do have a video where I said that you should mix up different countries. Yes, do that. And, going to Kuala Lumpur for 3 60-day visas in a row was stretching it. I wouldn't have done any more than that. And going to Cambodia every time, I mean, that's debatable whether I should have went to Laos or Malaysia, but that just would have involved a bigger trip to go there. It's just far easier from Bangkok to Cambodia, so that's all question marks there. Okay, so that's my experience for the tourist visa, or one experience. 8 trips, the 9th I was denied entry. Now, I do want to give a slight compliment to Thai immigration. They were at least courteous and friendly. It was sort of like telling me to go to hell, but in a nice way. So I have had bad experiences at Thai immigration. Whenever I do my 1-year visa, for some reason, they're always very arrogant. I've spoken about that in the 2 first videos in this playlist are my reality check videos, parts 1 and part 2. I talk about that for some reason, doing my yearly visa, they were very unfriendly and arrogant. But at least if you do your visa extension, it's okay. And the immigration officials on the Cambodian border, and also at Don Mueang Airport when I flew back into Thailand from Cambodia, they were at least friendly and courteous. So that's one good positive for Thailand. So there it is, just a quick update on the tourist visa, denied entry. I hope that helps you. Obviously, it's all a grey area. Like I said in that previous video, how long you can do it for, and there was my limit. 9th time I was denied entry. Okay, take care. I'll see you next time.